Have you ever wondered if it's possible to predict the future? For centuries, people have been fascinated by prophecies, claims of foreseeing events long before they happen. But what makes a prophecy truly remarkable? It's not just about making a vague prediction, but about foretelling specific and likely events that later come true in precise detail. Today, we are going to explore a topic that has captivated historians and believers for over 1400 years, 10 authenticated prophecies of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. These aren't just vague statements, they are specific predictions, recorded in historical texts, that have unfolded in ways that are truly astonishing. So, stick around as we journey back in time to uncover these incredible accounts. Let's begin with a prophecy that many of us can see with our own eyes today. Over 1400 years ago, in the deserts of Arabia, Prophet Muhammad foretold that barefoot, destitute shepherds would one day compete in constructing lofty buildings. At that time, Mecca and Medina were cities of simple, low-lying structures. The idea of towering skyscrapers, let alone built by the region's poorest inhabitants, would have seemed utterly impossible. But fast forward to our time. Look at the skylines of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or Riyadh. What do we see? Some of the tallest, most extravagant buildings in the world. And where did the wealth to build them come from? The discovery of oil transformed the fortunes of many in the Arabian Peninsula, turning nomadic shepherds and their descendants into some of the wealthiest people on the planet. This prophecy didn't just predict tall buildings, it specified who would build them, making its fulfillment a striking feature of our modern world. Next, let's talk about the Mongol invasion. In the 7th century, the Mongols were an unknown, scattered group of tribes in the remote steppes of Northeast Asia. They were of no concern to the major empires of the time. Yet, Prophet Muhammad described a future conflict with a specific group of people. He described them as having small eyes, flat noses, and faces like hammered shields. This detailed physical description perfectly matches historical accounts of the Mongol warriors. In the 13th century, a full 600 years after the prophecy was made, the Mongol hordes, led by figures like Genghis Khan, swept across Asia and into the heart of the Muslim world. They were renowned for their unique facial features and their practical, hair-lined footwear, exactly as described. The sheer destructive force they unleashed was unprecedented, and the accuracy of this centuries-old description is truly mind-boggling. Our third prophecy concerns the conquest of two of the greatest empires of the ancient world, Persia and Rome. When the early Muslim community was small, impoverished, and facing persecution in Mecca, the idea of challenging these superpowers was laughable. They were struggling just to survive. Yet, it was during this period of extreme vulnerability that Prophet Muhammad promised his followers that they would one day conquer the Sasanian Persian Empire and parts of the Byzantine Roman Empire. He specifically mentioned that the treasures of Kisra, the king of Persia, would be in their hands. To his companions, this must have sounded like pure fantasy. But history bears witness. Within just a few decades of his passing, the Muslim armies had completely overthrown the mighty Persian Empire and had made significant conquests in Roman territories like Syria, Egypt, and North Africa. A promise made at the lowest point of their history became a world-changing reality. Now, let's move to a prophecy about knowledge and communication. The prophet predicted a time when knowledge would be widespread and easily accessible. He also spoke of a time when time would contract. In his era, acquiring knowledge meant years of dedicated travel and study under scholars. Communication was as slow as the fastest horse. Today, we live in the reality of that prophecy. The internet has put the entirety of human knowledge at our fingertips. With a simple search, you can learn about any topic, read ancient texts, or take courses from universities across the globe. Knowledge is no longer the exclusive domain of a select few. And what about time contracting? Think about how we communicate. We can have a video call with someone on the other side of the planet instantly. We can travel across continents in a matter of hours. The world has become a global village, and the distances that once separated people have virtually disappeared. This prophecy accurately foresaw the information age we live in today. Prophecy number 5 is a somber one, but its fulfillment is undeniable. Prophet Muhammad foretold a time when usury, or interest, would become so widespread that even those who try to avoid it would be touched by its dust. In a 7th century economy based on trade and barter, this was a radical concept. Today, our entire global financial system is built upon interest. From bank loans and credit cards to mortgages and government bonds, interest is inescapable. Even if you personally avoid taking loans, your government does, your employer likely does, and the very currency you use is tied into this system. It's almost impossible to participate in modern society without being affected by it, just as the prophecy described. You can't avoid its dust. Next, we have a fascinating prediction about the city of Constantinople, which is modern-day Istanbul. For centuries, Constantinople was the jewel of the Byzantine Empire, protected by legendary, impenetrable walls. It had withstood countless sieges. Yet, Prophet Muhammad stated that it would one day be conquered by the Muslims. He even praised its future conqueror and the army that would achieve it. For 800 years, Muslim leaders were inspired by this prophecy and attempted to fulfill it. Finally, in 1453, the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, later known as Mehmed the Conqueror, achieved the impossible. Using massive cannons and new technology at the time, he breached the supposedly unbreakable walls and conquered the city, fulfilling a prophecy made 8 centuries earlier. The historical significance of this event is immense, and its link to the prophecy is a core part of its story. The 7th prophecy concerns a shift in societal values. The prophet spoke of a time when people would have children not out of love and a desire to nurture, but for reasons of anger and rage. He also predicted that people would treat their friends well, but shun their own fathers, and that voices would be raised in the mosques. Think about our modern world. We see heartbreaking stories of child abuse and neglect. We also see a cultural shift where peer relationships are often prioritized over family bonds. And the traditional respect for elders has eroded in many places. As for raised voices in places of worship, we see how community centers and mosques can sometimes become places of heated debate or social dispute rather than quiet contemplation, reflecting a change in how people approach sacred spaces. It's a sad but accurate reflection of some of the social ills we face today. Prophecy number 8 is another one that feels incredibly current. Prophet Muhammad foretold that there would be a proliferation of markets, so close to each other that they would almost merge. In his time, markets were specific, designated areas that you would travel to on certain days. The idea of commercial activity being everywhere was unheard of. Now, look around. Shopping malls, retail parks, and high streets are everywhere. One store ends and another begins. And that's just physical markets. With the rise of e-commerce, the market has come into our homes, onto our phones. We can shop anytime, anywhere. Amazon, eBay, and thousands of online retailers have created a single, massive, interconnected global market, fulfilling this prophecy in a way that would have been unimaginable just a few generations ago. Our 9th prophecy is about leadership and authority. The prophet predicted a time when trust would be lost and authority would be given to those who are not qualified for it. He described this as one of the signs of the end of times. He said, when you see matters entrusted to the unworthy, then wait for the hour. This is a sentiment that resonates deeply with many people today. All across the world, there's a growing disillusionment with political and social leaders. We often see positions of immense power and responsibility being given to people based on wealth, connections, or popularity, rather than competence, integrity, or merit. This widespread feeling of misplaced authority and the resulting societal decay is a powerful echo of this 1400-year-old warning. Finally, the 10th prophecy. This one is about the very land of Arabia itself. Prophet Muhammad, while living in one of the most arid regions on earth, prophesied that the land of Arabia would one day return to being a land of meadows and rivers. For centuries, this seemed impossible. Arabia is synonymous with desert. However, in recent decades, we've begun to see startling changes. Advanced agricultural techniques and large-scale irrigation projects have started to turn parts of the desert green. Satellite imagery shows increasing green areas in what was once barren land. Furthermore, climate scientists are now predicting that cyclical climate shifts could lead to increased rainfall in the Arabian Peninsula over the coming centuries. We are witnessing the very beginning of a transformation that was foretold over a millennium ago. From skyscrapers in the desert to the internet, from the fall of empires to the greening of Arabia, these 10 prophecies provide a compelling look into the words of Prophet Muhammad. They weren't vague fortunes, they were specific, detailed, and often counterintuitive predictions that history has, time and again, shown to be true. Whether you view them through the lens of faith or history, their accuracy is truly remarkable and invites deep reflection. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.